Ah, Sunday, a day of relaxation, reflection, and a celebration of clubbing baby seals. I'm your host, T-Bowl, and today we present the Kamikaze. Mate, stop that, wait, that bike's not a toy there. Hey, alright. Not sure who that was or how we got in here, but let's see what we got. Alright, Kamikaze, looks like the map Haven, and capture the base mode. Alright, check it out. Looks like a Sunday Seal Clubber special. You know what that means? We're going to pop that engine boost right off the bat. I do have Tanaka set up with that legendary perk that gives you an extra speed boost there. I find the speed boost pretty useful on these Japanese destroyers, both getting into positions. I like to pop one right off the top of the map, or the top of the match a lot of times. Kind of catches people off guard if you're a little bit further ahead than they are used to seeing, you know, if they play that map. You can also use those speed boosts to get out of trouble. Obviously the Japanese destroyers are going to be using concealment quite a bit, and having those engine boost charges that are extra effective, and having an extra one helps you get out of sticky situations when they arise. What do we got here? An Emily cruising on in. Going for broke. We're gonna start putting down some torps. Kamikaze, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the Kamikaze's work. Highlights are great concealment and extremely fast reloading torps. Range is a little bit limited on this, so once I get, you know, down the road in the future, we get some promotion orders to play around with. I'm planning on putting Hellsinger in maybe the higher tier, you know, 5, 6, 7. Destroyers. Those ones have long range torps. I think they're all 10 kilometers. And these lower tier ones, they have like 6, 7 kilometers. So Tanaka, you do have the option of boosting the range on the torps. I'm considering doing that. And then keeping Kurita in kind of reserve for the arrival of Japanese gunboat destroyers. On the PC version, they have more gunboat-centric destroyers. So we'll probably see those at some point in time. We haven't even heard any rumblings of them yet, but first kill on the board there. We do get a, what was that, a fire or flood kill on the Emily. We hit him with torps. I don't know if he damaged con, and then we hit him with the HE after that and set him on fire, or maybe he didn't either use the damage con or already used it ahead of time, but either way he's dead. Isakaze is now the primary target here. Kamikaze is not known for its guns, but neither is the Isakaze. And I got enough distance between me and that battleship in the background that we're going to be a little aggressive here. Getting rid of the Isakaze is a strong play. That's kind of a Seal Clubber's Delight type of ship too, especially if they're playing Tier 3 matches. Similar setup to this, very quick cycling torps on their reload. Excellent detectability, or concealment that is. You know, similar style to this. So if you don't have the Kamikaze, you know, the Isakaze is kind of a alternative one tier down if you're looking for the same style of ship. So, you know, we're looking at 2 kills now. Got a Koenig here. He's backing up right now. I'm not a big fan of trying to chase down battleships with destroyers. If you're trying to torp stuff from behind them, the torps have to travel further distance, of course. He is backing up, though, which eventually would be able to chase him down with this. But had he been pointed the other way, I'd probably just point my attention towards those 2 guys to my east there, a little bit more in the center of the map. Koenig does decide to accelerate, though, once I think he killed that ship, didn't he? Whatever happened, he changed his mind. Moving forward, we're going to start getting some torps down. And we got to launch in on here. A lot of times with the low tier, you know, destroyer play, you can launch them pretty much on the indicator. If you spot a advanced player who looks like they know what they're doing, or they're in like Arkansas, or, you know, some sort of ship where it looks like it could be a pirate type Seal Clubber player, then you probably want to aim them normally, trying to factor in where they're going to turn and so on and so forth. He's actually starting and stopping, so, you know, he doesn't seem to be completely new at the game. But anyways, he didn't avoid the left two torps there, so we're able to get a couple hits on him. Do get the flood. You can see the damage. You always want to check the damage on the top right-hand corner. That stops. That means you see damage con. He put the flood, you know, he repaired the flood. So now he's got, you know, maybe a minute or so if we get another torp strike on him where he's going to have a permanent flood. So that's something we're going to be looking to do here. We are spotted, though. It's his main problem, or a major problem. Kamikaze is one of those ships where you can realistically go the entire game without shooting a single shot from your guns and just remain undetected all the time. And you'll strike fear into the hearts of your opponents. They'll never know where you are. They'll know where you are because your name will keep popping up on the score card on the left there, signaling all those ships you're killing. So, that's one approach to it. I'm a little more liberal with my use of the main guns on Japanese destroyers than I probably should be, and definitely than a lot of players are. I'm kind of trying to scale that down a little bit, but I'm not afraid to use them. Kamikaze's guns, though, are pretty horrendous. I think it's about a 10-second reload on them, so you do have to keep that in mind. You definitely want to be mainly sticking to the torps, as a rule of thumb here. And this applies for the Kamikaze. The Mutsu's pretty similar. It's got slightly less good characteristics in terms of reload and stuff like that. But similar ship there, similar for the Isakaze. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, I don't have a Kamikaze, you can apply that to those ships in particular, and then the Japanese destroyers, and as a general rule, at least the ones we have now that are torpedo centric. That guy's in a bit of a tough spot there. I was trying to get some torps on him, but obviously we got a fellow destroyer streaking right around the island and nuking him close range, which is it's enjoyable to pull off. So I'm not going to get too mad at him there for stealing my kill. But as we bring our attention back to the Koenig here, here's a good example illustration of what I was talking about earlier. That ship is 6.7. That's within my torp range, but because he's sailing away from me, you can see how much further out of range he is. I think it's 10 kilometers or whatever. Whenever that little number set on top of the white cone, the aim indicator for destroyers, is yellow, that means if the torps get to the target at the point in time, the target's gonna be out of range, in other words. So where you're attempting to aim the torps, they're not gonna actually reach the ship there. So if you're new to destroyers and you haven't figured that out yet, keep that in mind. That's a very helpful tool to just allow you to save your torps for better opportunities. And if he's gonna sail away from us, we're gonna head off anyways. We can see the base is completely undefended. Now we are down a ship at this point, and they've decided to put pressure on the cap, which is a good play for them. You can see on the map there we don't really have anyone in position to defend the cap. So we do have a speed boost active. We're going to head back and take control of the situation up here. Just taking a glance at that mini-map, I'm noticing that destroyer is extremely close to their battleship. Obviously these are new players, so I'm not going to fault them too much, but you don't want to get that close to a battleship in a destroyer as a general rule. That's when the fight tends to even out. Yes, you have the chance to nuke them with close range torps, but if you miss those, then you're in an extremely precarious situation. They can proxy spot you at 2 kilometers for up to tier 5, and up to 3 kilometers, tier 6 and tier 7, assuming they have all the mods fitted out. So even if you pop smoke, if you're that close, they're still going to be able to spot you, and they're not going to be missing a lot of shots close range, so you're going to be removed from the match pretty quickly, as that ship found out pretty readily there. Anyway, we're still streaming back. Now we only have 2 ships left. They do have 4 at this situation, or at this point in time. So we're down in score. They're accumulating more points by being on our cap. You can see it's ticking up points on their score every 5 seconds. That's because they're on their cap. They're on our cap. So they're adding their score even if we're able to drive these people off, which is going to make the game a lot harder to win, because the scores are going to be pretty even depending on how many ships you have remaining on the board. So the longer they're on here, the more likely it is that we're going to have to eventually kill the enemy team completely. We do spot this Clemson before. That's due to our concealment, and the Japanese destroyers have much better concealment than Americans in general, but I'm quite sure my build is a little bit more advanced than his in all likelihood. So we get an advantage there. We do get a torp strike in. He spots us. We do have our guns pre-aimed, and then we're going to begin to kind of, well, I should be turning away. I guess I'm going to sit here broadside now. There we go. You can see in the diagram I'm looking in the bottom. If you're fighting destroyers, I guess I'm being a little sloppy here because it is a low-tier game. He gone! It is a low-tier game. So I don't always play the best when I'm playing low tiers. But if you're fighting a one-on-one destroyer fight, if you're sailing away from them, generally you're going to have the advantage. You're going to be harder for them to hit. They're going to be easier for you to hit just based on how the flight mechanics of the shells work, so on and so forth. Now we're noticing the cap here is still contested, so we know something's aloof. I'm assuming it's one of these two islands on the left, and then we finally notice the smoke over here. There's a couple islands on Haven where they can potentially hide over here, so once we notice that we weren't spotted due to firing our guns, that meant their line of sight on us was obscured by these islands, and then we looked around and they gave us an additional visual confirmation by puffing this smoke cloud. This ends up being a fairly interesting engagement. I was pretty impressed with this player. We do launch smokes preemptively into the smoke. I was kind of looking at which direction the smoke is expanding. You can see each puff that goes off with the destroyer smoke, it'll expand in one direction or the other if they're not sitting completely still. So you can kind of get a read on where they are, but either I misread it or he moved after deploying the smoke. Anyways, we're judging where he could possibly be here, and then we're trying to hit him with these torps. Now he is angled directly at us, which is going to make it harder to hit, but we kind of spread him out intending to cover a good bit there. But he does do a good job dodging, and that little Mutsuki gets away now. He's outside of my 2-kilometer proxy spot radius. Destroyers, all ships have a smoke firing penalty radius as well, which means when you fire your guns, your detectability expands a little bit if you're under the cover of smoke. But for destroyers, the penalty is extremely small, so even at that close range, if he was able to get away undetected, he'd fire some torps in the return direction, which is fine. I'm just guessing where he's going to be. I assume he might still be hanging out in that smoke, so we're just going to torp right around that corner, tight to the island. He comes around the other side, though, which is fine. We pop him with the guns, clear a couple, a bale full of his points that he's accrued by sitting on the cap, getting some defender medals, and we're just going to attempt to outgun him while we're getting around here into cover. I think the Kamikaze should be able to outgun the Mutsuki in most situations, but we're still trying to get undercover here, gradually at least, to be able to disengage, let those torps reload, and then kind of get back in control of the situation here. So we're going to do a little ring around the rosy Benny Hill type play here where we're chasing each other around. I do spot him here. You can see by the torp indicator he's going hard around that other island. I'm trying to slow down right now. You can see I popped the speed down, seeing if he was going to come around, but he does the same thing. He slams on the brakes there. And we're just keeping an eye on that gray aim indicator there. That's the heading where the ship is. And you can judge the speed of the ship and roughly what he's doing by keeping an eye on that. He does get a good torp strike off. Luckily, we're able to slow down before that comes around. And we see that indicator expand to the right, which means he's gunning it. And we're going to put down a salvo there and see if we can catch him. Slams on the brakes, though, the cheeky bastard that he is. And yeah, looks like he got away from that one, too. So good job there. And the longer this goes on, the more it's occurring to me that that's probably not this guy's first rodeo. So got to start treating him with a little bit more respect than, well, I've been playing him fine, I guess. But anyway, he's doing a really good job is my point. But we're still trying to get those guns firing. And you can see when we're hitting those shells, they're doing some pretty good damage, 2,500 damage. That's roughly a quarter of his HP right there. So again, torps are back up. We're going to do the same exact move. Keep him tight to the island and just try and get him caught with those. He's probably going to lose patience at some point. And of course, there it is for the takedown on that Mutsuki. But very good job there. I thought that was a good exchange. So, well played. Up to 4 kills though, and here our friend the Koenig's coming back around again for some more, and we're gonna oblige. We're just keeping an eye on the map. We want him outside of that blue detection ring, so I'm altering my heading. We're trying to get alongside of them as well. You want to torp these ships in the side. If you shoot them at front, in the direction that they're heading at you, they can dodge them a lot easier, and as they spread out over time, they're going to be more likely just to naturally miss them. So we get the salvo we want off towards his side, and then we're just going to take a hard turn to make sure that we don't get detected here. If these miss, we need to keep spotting this target for our teammates who's doing a good job shooting them, and we need to get ready to do another torp salvo. But lo and behold, and unfortunately for him, he gone as well. So that's going to do it for the Kamikaze. Hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, you should consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. I do love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.